One thing we mentioned before, and I thought we could maybe do it, is this thing about singing.
Right, I remember. Yes, of course.
Yeah, so I have it here. We can read it, and
Great.
the title of it is it's from, I don't know, Stacy Horn or somebody who. But anyway, singing changes your brain. Group singing has been scientifically proven to lower stress, relieve anxiety, and elevate endorphins. When you sing, musical vibrations move through you, altering your physical and emotional landscape. Group singing, for those who have done it, is the most exhilarating and transformative of all. It takes something incredibly intimate, a sound that begins inside you, shares it with a room full of people, and it comes back as something even more thrilling, harmony. So it's not surprising that group singing is on the rise. According to Chorus America, 32.5 million adults sing in choirs, up by almost 10 million over the past 6 years. Many people think of church music when you bring up group singing, but there are over 270,000 choruses across the country, and they include gospel groups to show choirs like the one depicted in Glee to strictly amateur groups like Choir, 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 singing David Bowie's The Man Who Sold the World. As the popularity of group singing grows, science has been hard at work trying to explain why it has such a calming yet energizing effect on people. What researchers are beginning to discover is that singing is like an infusion of the perfect tranquilizer, the kind that both soothes your nerves and elevates your spirits. The elation may come from endorphins, a hormone released by singing, which is associated with feelings of pleasure. Or it might be from oxytocin, another hormone released during singing, which has been found to alleviate anxiety and stress. Oxytocin also enhances feelings of trust and bonding, which may explain why still more studies have found that singing lessens feelings of depression and loneliness. A very recent study even attempts to make the case that music evolved as a tool of social living, and that the pleasure that comes from singing together is our evolutionary reward for coming together cooperatively instead of hiding alone, every cave dweller for himself or herself. The benefits of singing regularly seem to be cumulative. In one study, singers were found to have lower levels of cortisol, indicating lower stress. A very preliminary investigation suggesting that our heart rates may sync up during group singing could also explain why singing together sometimes feels like a guided group meditation. Study after study has found that singing relieves anxiety and contributes to quality of life. Dr. Julian K. Johnson, a researcher who has focused on older singers, recently began a 5-year study to examine group singing as an affordable method to improve health and well-being of older adults. It turns out you don't have to be a good singer to reap the rewards. According to one 2005 study, group singing can produce satisfying and therapeutic sensations even when the sound produced by the vocal instrument is of mediocre quality. Singing groups vary from casual affairs with where no audition is necessary, to serious, committed professional or vocational choirs like the Los Angeles Master Choral or my chorus in New York City, which I joined when I was 26 and depressed, all based on a single memory of singing in a choir at Christmas, an experience so euphoric I never forgot it. If you want to find a singing group to join, choir plays and cornet are good places to begin, or more local sites like the New York Choral Consortium, which has links to the vocal area networks and so on. So, yeah.
Wow.
Even if you've walked into rehearsals, here's one thing. Group singing is cheaper than therapy, healthier than drinking, and certainly more fun than working out. It is the one thing in life where feeling better is pretty much guaranteed. Even if you walked into rehearsal exhausted and depressed, by the end of the night you'll walk out high as a kite on endorphins and goodwill. So,
Wow.
yeah, this is what most people tend to accept, the scientific community.
Exactly.
And what their studies have proven, and, etc. So, this is what has been taught in the Vedas since the beginning. I mean, this is eternal knowledge. And now, science is kind of just having to admit that singing is special. Singing is different, and you can quantify it now with endorphins and cortisol and, all the different things we just read, which, makes it so the common person will be more receptive to it.
Because you have all those measurable benefits as well, all the material benefits as well, apart from the spiritual.
Because most people really don't care that much about the spiritual effect. It's like, how does it make me feel?
Yeah.
Am I going to have fun doing it? And so, yeah, this might, spark interest in singing, and especially group singing. If you remember what we just read, it's group singing that's even, more dynamic and more therapeutic and so on.
And it just happened to be that's the meditation method above all that's recommended for this time and age, congregational chanting or singing of these mantras.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's why we're always encouraging people to come sing with us. There's everything to gain and nothing to lose. But the difference between our singing, chanting the mantras, and the singing that was being referred to here, is that these mantras are transcendental sounds. They're not just words. They're not just a song. They're transcendental sounds. That's a completely different category, of sound, which we have no experience of, and we can't even relate to how one sound can be so much different than another sound.
Yeah.
I mean, sound is sound, right?
Exactly.
But of course, on the material level, we know that's not true. Some, sounds, if you will, are very soothing, and some are devastating. They use sonic weapons, sound weapons, and so even on a material level, all sound is not equal. But to bridge the gap between material and spiritual sound with the material mind and laboratory experiments and so on is impossible. But there is a complete difference. Okay? And so we, the spirit soul, this is what we need. This is our spiritual food. This is what nourishes us. This is what fills us up. This is what makes us healthy. And all the things that are positive for the soul are available in transcendental sound.
I guess that's kind of like the bird in the cage analogy. I like that very much. This little bird sitting in the cage, and we're polishing the cage all the time, but there's a bird inside as well that needs attention.
Yeah, and like you said, if you never tasted ice cream, you can't relate to ice cream.
Right. Mm.
Or in the Vedas, it says like a bee licking on the outside of the jar of honey. You can't taste the honey. So we're the jar for us, that which separates us from the taste, spiritual taste of this transcendental sound, is all this contamination and material, desires and attitudes and, false identity and all the things that we talk about every week. That's what's keeping us from tasting, the sweetness of the holy names. So the process of bhakti yoga is to, purify one of those contaminants, and gradually one begins to be more attracted to the chanting. It's not just singing, it's singing, yeah, and all the benefits that come from that, which we just read. But it's more than that. It's the attraction. It's almost like an invisible attraction. You can't really define it. Like, I just want to do it. I like doing it. I feel good when I do it. People have been trying to formulate experiences in words forever. and some people are better at it than others. But really, words can only take us so far. They can kind of just point us in the right direction or, make us aware of a certain reality. But until one experiences it, they just really don't know.